So the Really Good Podcast is back once again today with stage 14 of the Tour de France, which was the so-called Queen stage, where a lot of things were expected, but did it live up to the hype, Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, for a Queen stage, I think it was a bit more sort of Queen Elizabeth II. It wasn't a fantastic day of racing. We had a breakaway, but we also had plenty of storylines before the climb started.
Oh, yeah.
It was a large break that went up the road eventually, but before the first climb of the day, we saw plenty of movement from Lidl Trek to try and get Jonathan Milan into the breakaway and Matthias Skjelmose. And then they couldn't really do it. Tom Scoins was being used a lot as a launch pad for Skjelmose. And in the end, Skjelmose ends up being put into a situation similar to Paris-Nice, where he rides into a little bit of central reservation and ends his tour. So Skjelmose was an early DNF from this race, and it may have been a sign of things to come for Denmark, because the stage itself was a questionable one for Jonas Vingegaard, and we will get onto that much later, because the next DNF was Steph Grass. Admittedly, he was before Matthias Skjelmose, but I better get his name out of the way. And Brian Coquard didn't start the race because he broke his finger, but still rode the time trial with a broken finger. So, interesting decision from Coquard. Either way, we get to the foot of the Col d'Aspin, and a breakaway group goes, and it includes some pretty good riders in the end. Couple of Ineos Grenadiers, couple of riders in and around the GC like Ben O'Connor, Jordan Jaeger, and more importantly, Tobias Harland Johannesson was the best placed of the GC guys. What did you think when he was in there?
I was happy he was in there, honestly, to not go early. They did also mention, and I thought to myself, the Danish commentators mentioned that this could be a really good move to move further on the GC, but it's also very risky, because if he ends up using too much in the breakaway, he could lose his GC proposition very much this stage.
Yeah, but arguably more importantly for the battle between the top two, Sepp Kuss and Simon Yates were there for Visma Lease Bike. Were they prepping something?
No, I think they were going for a stage one, if I'm being honest. I think that's what the plan was. I think they have given up a little bit. I mean, even when they fell behind back to the main group later on during the stage, which we'll come to, they didn't really do much. They just sort of, phased through the peloton, so to speak. So I think they were just going for a stage win, and it didn't end up working out.
Somebody who wasn't going for the stage win at the end of this stage, though, was a certain Remco Evenepoel, because on the early slopes of the Col de Tourmalet, he was already getting dropped. The intermediate sprint went to Jonathan Milan as expected. I don't think we need to go through those anymore. Milan, Guillaume, Turgis and Van Der Poel all got involved. It's the usual four. Tadej Pogacar went and took 3 points. We all saw that sneaky manoeuvre, Tadej. Don't pretend like you're not going for the green jersey. But that was all from the intermediate sprints. And Remco Evenepoel was the story of the early slopes of the Col du Tourmalet, because under the pace of Nils Pollitt for UAE Team Emirates, trying to keep this breakaway close, Remco Evenepoel was being spat out of the back of the peloton very, very quickly. And from this point, about sort of 12 hours after he tweeted, "Very bad day on the bike, but giving up is not in my nature," Remco Evenepoel got in the team car and abandoned the race.
Gave
up. Now, I don't know what was happening. It was actually kind of sad seeing him go. And I think it's bad for the top three battle that the main name is no longer in the race. But clearly something has been wrong over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it must have been something. What if it's illness or some kind of injury from the earlier crash, like way early in the tour? I don't know, but I mean, he is known to have a bit of a he's very emotional, and like his riding style depends on how he does mentally. I feel like a lot of the time. I don't think it's purely mental that he just he felt like he was doing bad and he just didn't want to be here anymore. But I think it's definitely part of it.
Yeah, I think he's a rider that rides on feeling a lot more than on his wattage.
Yeah.
But it was a big day ahead, and canning it early on is probably the best idea if you are going to abandon the race.
Yeah.
One rider that was getting involved, though, of course, 183 kilometres to go, but not that for Lenny Martinez, who was incessant on going over the top of the first couple of climbs on his own, attacked early on from the group, and rode away over the top of the Col du Tourmalet. And he was on a mission to get these King of the Mountains points.
Yes, he was, man. It's good to see. I don't think he had any hopes of winning the stage. I think he just wanted at least the Tourmalet, and then he was like, if I can get the Aspen and anything else, then I'll take it. But of course, Tourmalet, a huge sum of points there, and he knew that Tadej probably would finish pretty high up on the final climb, so he knew that he had to get that at least in the bag to secure that he would get some points on him, hopefully, which he did. He did indeed. How big was the gap? Was it like a minute and a half, or like 2 minutes at the top?
It was about a minute and a half to Woods,
yeah.
And then sort of closer to 2 minutes to the rest of the group. Woods, I don't know whether he's going for King of the Mountains or whether he's attacking over the climbs so he doesn't lose as much on the descent, because he is a terrible descender in terms of the rest of the peloton. Lenny Martinez also had a couple of struggles on the descent of the Tourmalet. It was super foggy, so there wasn't much in the way of visibility down the Tourmalet descent, and he lost quite a lot of time on that Tourmalet descent. But two riders that got away were Sepp Kuss and Valentin Paré-Pantra, and they joined up with him before the Col d'Aspin, to which Lenny Martinez took some more points over that climb. And then we went on to the Col de Peyresourde, and the peloton was chasing, and it was Tadej Pogacar using up his UAE Team Emirates team. Yeah. He was after blood, I think.
He was at that point, but I'm going to have to question him later on if he really was after blood. But yes, they were definitely setting a high pace. And he mentioned before the stage that, he want to win everything. He just want to win as much as possible. But I do have my questions on that part at this point.
On the Peyresourde, though, it was a couple of moves from a couple of riders. First of all, you saw Lenny Martinez go. But the killer attack was made by Thymen Arensman of Ineos Grenadiers. 36 kilometres to go, and with a gap of about 2.5 minutes to the peloton, he went away, nobody could follow, and Arensman went over the top of the Peyresourde on his own. Martinez went and picked up some more King of the Mountains points from the chasing group, which included the likes of Kuss, Paré-Pantra, Aina Rubio, Carlos Rodriguez, and himself. And from that point onwards, it was Arensman on his own against the yellow jersey group.
Yep. I don't know if he lost time to descent. I'm not actually aware.
Yeah, I don't think he lost too much time on the descent. It was Pavel Sivakov, I think, that was leading the peloton downhill. So I think the times went slightly in favour of Arensman, but not by much. And people were like, even if he starts the climb with 5 minutes, he's not going to win because Pogacar's going to go super early. It felt like, I don't know what the conditions were, I think it was about 23 degrees.
Yeah.
It felt like Tadej Pogacar conditions. Like he seemed to struggle in previous tours in the heat. And I was thinking this is like perfect Tadej Pogacar, wet, slightly cold conditions for him.
The only thing was he was one of the few guys who didn't have any, rain jacket thing on the descent on the Tourmalet, which we did see him later on during the stage, sort of like blowing at his hands to where he'd get warm or something. So it probably did affect him a little bit. Again, I don't think it's to the point where, clearly he still had the legs and everything, but maybe a slight hindrance there.
And the climb to Luchon Superbair began. All category label, 12.4 kilometres, nothing like the Peyresourde category 1 and Col d'Aspin category 2. More like the Tourmalet, but shorter and just as steep. 12.4 kilometers, 7% up to almost 2,000 meters altitude. And Aronson started it with a clear lead, but it was it was Adam Yates, both of the Yates brothers, who have been very much involved at this tour. Adam Yates pacing early on the climb, and I was preparing myself for a Tadej Pogacar attack.
Yes, but it just never came. And in the start, I feel like they paced pretty hard, like they gained some time at the bottom of the climb, but then it seemed they just sort of just kept the same pace and wasn't gaining time. Like the time stayed pretty much the same for I don't know how many kilometers. Where at that point I was like, okay, he does not want to win the stage, because like he clearly has the facilities, both in terms of team power and his own power. If he wanted to, he could, but something was stopping him. Whatever that is, some sportsmanship that he wanted to allow him to win the stage, or what, I don't know.
Yeah, it was Yates and Soler on the climb, early slopes of the climb, and the gap wasn't going down to Aronson, which was one sign that the pace wasn't high. And another sign that the pace wasn't high was the likes of Victor Campenaerts being in the group, admittedly dropping after Matteo Jorgensen did, who dropped at the foot of the climb. That might be a tactical play from Visma Lease Bike, but I've got some thoughts on that we will probably get to towards the end of this stage. But Victor Campenaerts being there, the likes of Callum Scottson of AG2R being there, full respect to him. Yeah, he probably shouldn't be in the final 20 on a HC mountain at the Tour de France. But that was a sign that the pace wasn't high.
Yeah, Ben Healy also there, sort of hanging on to the back. He also shouldn't be there, man.
But the attacks then were launched, and it wasn't any of the big guns. It was Felix Gall with the early move, Callum Scottson's teammate. After he looked a bit tetchy, like he wanted to raise the pace, while UAE was kind of soft pacing at the foot of the climb. So it was no surprise to see him go. I think the surprise was how he ended up holding himself to the line, but I was semi-surprised that there wasn't a reaction from the likes of Johannesson or Roglic or those kind of guys.
Yeah. I mean, Tobias Johannesson tried following him from the breakaway, tried hanging on to his wheel, but he couldn't keep it. We'll check later how much, where he ended up. But he tried following, and again, like we mentioned earlier, he was in the breakaway, which is a good shout, to maybe not lose time, but also it could be a double-edged sword. And I think here came the point where he had used a little bit too much of his blue energy earlier, and he didn't have enough left. So, but yeah, I didn't see any. I'm surprised no one from the peloton really tried following that.
Yeah, it was a classic case of, as the climb went on, more and more riders started dropping in ones and twos. First, it was Vauquelin, which was pretty big for the podium battle. Then it was the likes of Carlos Rodriguez, Jordan Géliat being dropped. Rodriguez, of course, being in the breakaway, as was Jordan Géliat. And Tobias Harland Johannesson then shortly dropped after that. But they weren't gaining on Gall in the peloton, and Gall wasn't gaining on Aronson, who was putting in a very impressive ride at the front.
Yes, indeed. But then suddenly came the moment we've all been waiting for. Vingegaard attacks. It's 4 minutes in the GC too late, but he attacked. And admittedly, if he was a bit closer, if he hadn't lost 2 minutes on the Hood account, I think I would have been more excited, because then it would have been roughly a 2 minute gap. If that hadn't happened, I would have been more like, yes, let's go. But it just, I mean, he clearly tried, and then Tadej followed up with another attack of his own, and then maybe go with another attack. So it was an exciting battle, but at the same time, you sort of knew that Pogacar was holding back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the word exciting. Jonas did attack. I wonder whether he was going for the stage. And kind of hoping that Pogacar would kind of concede it if Jonas just kind of paced him up the climb, because after the attack, Jonas seemed okay to just sit on the front with Pogacar in his wheel, and put down a decent pace, because the gap was closing to Arensman, but it wasn't closing quickly enough.
I think more like the battle itself was like the attacks part of it was exciting, but yeah, the actual state of the battle is not really doesn't really get your heart beat up, I guess.
Yes, a man whose heart was racing though was Tiemann Arensman, who did manage to get to the top of Superbair with 1:08 of an advantage. Ineos Grenadiers taking the win from the breakaway. And I think this is a deserved result for Arensman after his second place on stage 10.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really, really well ride that within that stage. Yeah.
Only his fourth win ever.
True.
In professional cycling. Has won a Vuelta stage, so I wonder whether he might go to the Giro next year and do the sort of hat trick of stages there. He's got 2 second places at that race in 2022. So I wonder whether he's going to go for the hat trick there. I think he might.
He's got to do it, man. It's got to be done.
So Arensman won the stage 1:08 ahead of Pogacar in second, who outsprinted Jonas Vingegaard and took 4 seconds on the road, plus the 2 bonus seconds that he gained. Vingegaard was third. Felix Gall, great ride to be within 7 seconds of Jonas Vingegaard, having attacked early. He was with Lipovitz for a lot of the climb, but dropped him towards the end. Lipovitz finishing on 1:25 in 5th. And then Oscar Lee, 2:09 in 6th place. But the Pogacar-Vingegaard battle, what's your assessment of it today?
I was looking to see Pogacar's reaction afterwards in terms of how out of breath he was. He wasn't. When he went to congratulate Arensman, he looked like he was out for a Sunday ride and he just got done. So my assessment is that it's over. It's been over, but it's over.
I would have liked to have seen Visma throw the kitchen sink at the day. From what I've been hearing, Matteo Jorgensen willingly dropped. He didn't look like he was under too much pressure and like breathing heavy or looking tired at the foot of the climb. I think he's dropped for the chance at stage wins in the future and being used perhaps as a breakaway rider. So I think if they'd have kept him, with the way, obviously hindsight is obvious, but UAE looking as bad as a team as they did today. Pollitt was good, Sivakov and Soler were all right, but they did use up their matches really quickly. Narvaez especially wasn't on the form of previous stages. With the way UAE looked, this could have been a stage for Visma to really try and throw everything they've got at Tadej Pogacar. But again, I think the way he crossed the line, looking pretty undeterred by the Jonas Vingegaard acceleration, I'd have liked to have seen them have a go, because I think Pogacar wasn't on an amazing day today. But I know you've asked me multiple times about has Pogacar won the Tour, and I jokingly say yes. I think seriously, he's only taken 6 seconds today on Jonas Vingegaard. I think this is the day where I completely 100% believe Tadej Pogacar has won this Tour, as long as he avoids incident or accident. Because he seemed to have a not brilliant day today and still gain time. And I think that's the sign of a Tour winner rather than a rider that takes 2 minutes early on and it has these big wins. It's kind of the little and often that we've seen from him as of late. Obviously he's already built up the advantage, but I think even on a bad day today, Jonas could not drop him, and that is telling for this Tour de France, I believe. Very telling. We still have some mountains that he's left, but at this point, I don't know what they gotta try and do. There's not much they can do. It's Vingegaard's just sort of gonna be there and maybe try and get a stage win in some way, I guess, about it, and just stay up there for the sponsors, pretty much. To round off the top 10, Healy finished 7th behind Oscar Lee at 2:46 on the same time as Primož Roglic. Now, once again, the Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe leadership swings the way of Florian Lipovic, and we will get to that when we get to GC. Tobias Harlan Johannesson is just under 3 minutes behind Timo Arensman on the day. Not a bad ride from him considering he was in the breakaway. 2 minutes 59, with Vortalan 10th at 3 minutes and 8. Other riders, Carlos Rodriguez at 3:15, Jedia at 3:49, Ben O'Connor at 5:23, and I'm just looking for Jorgensen, lost 18 minutes today on his main rival. Well, I say main rivals, lost 18 minutes on Pogacar.
Yeah.
So, GC.
Indeed.
Tadej Pogacar leads by 4 minutes 13. Florian Lipovic third at 7:53. I think this podium battle has lasted one stage.
Yeah, I think the podium battle is pretty much done at this point. Lipovic on the level. He's on a different level. I did say it once again, I told you so. Lipovic on third. Do you think anyone can compete at this point with him? Like, because he seems to be very strong in mounts.
The only guy that I think that can claw it back, well, not necessarily claw it back, the only guy that I think can compete with him at the moment is Gal.
Yeah, but...
And he's proven in previous tours that he grows into the race as the race goes on, you know, taking victories in the third week in 2023 on stages. So I think third week Felix Gal is probably going to be in the back of my mind if I'm Florian Lipovic. Only I don't think has it, neither does Vortalan, and neither does Roglic. I think you've built up enough of a gap. We're looking at kind of 4 minutes and 7 seconds between Lipovic and Gal. I think you've built up enough of a buffer to not be too worried, but I think Gal is his main rival right now for podium.
Yeah, I agree. Wholeheartedly agree.
So Gal is 7th at the moment on 12 minutes. Just above him, Roglic on 10 minutes 34, Vortalan on 10:21, and Only on 9 minutes and 18 seconds. Johannesson stays in 8th on 12:33, and Ben Healy jumps back into the top 10 on 18:41, with Rodriguez and Jegia in the Ineos Grenadiers Total Energies full-on war now for the top 10 of the Tour de France. That might be one to keep an eye on, because Jegia has been quietly cooking in this race. I mean, you've not seen anything of him because he's not been in the top 10 of any of the stages. But he's stumbled his way into 11th on GC. And I think for Total Energy, a top 10 at the Tour is massive.
Oh, yeah. They'll take that any day of the week, for sure.
So that's the GC. The white jersey classification, of course, now changes hands because Remco Evenepoel is no longer in the race. Lipovic leads 1 minute 25 on Only, 2 minutes 28 on Vortalan. I think this is Lipovic's to lose, surely, from now.
It's gotta be. Yeah, I don't see him not winning it. I don't see it.
Do you see Healy trying to get into breakaways in the future to sort of like slip in there and make Bora Hansgrohe work for it?
I didn't see him in breakaways. I don't know if they would necessarily do it for the GC. I think there'll be more just for a stage one. But I see him in breakaways. And I think almost for them, like the trying to do something for the white jersey GC is sort of like just a bonus at this point. Yeah,
I get that point. I think he's the type of rider that wants to get himself in moves. So, like, I'd be keeping an eye on him if I was Red Bull Bora, like in the early parts of races, just so that he doesn't slip into a move unnoticed. I think if he does get into a breakaway, he has the capability to ride on the front. So he just needs to keep himself away from the cameras in that case, which I don't think he can do. But yeah, that's the Ben Healy situation. In King of the Mountains points, Lenny Martinez retakes the lead of the King of the Mountains classification. Pogacar drops to second, 8 points behind Lenny Martinez. And with going over the top of the final 2 climbs in first position, including the all category Superbair finish, Timo Arensman explodes into third. entering tomorrow's stage, up 10 positions from his previous, on 48 points. He's only 4 points behind Pogacar, although I think both Martinez and Arensman might have cooked themselves on this stage. Luckily, there's no more mountain stages to come before the rest day. But again, do you see Pogacar like conceding this, especially with the way he rode today?
I don't know at this point. I don't know what he wants, man. He just decides. I think he just decides on the day, like, do I want to win? Nah. I think it's sort of like that at this point. I don't know him. I can't read him.
Yeah, if I'm Nils Pollitt, I am going to be fuming, I think. That I've done so much work on the front. I've had an elite performance going up the Tourmalet and parts of the Col d'Aspin, only for my team leader to not attack and try and win the stage, despite being in a position where, realistically, I think if he could have attacked earlier, like off the back of the Jonas acceleration, I think the win was on, because Arensman started to tie up towards the end. But do you reckon, like, I think he could have done it?
Yeah, I mean, the way he looked going over the line, and also considering there was clearly some, what's called tactical play at the end, since Lipwich and whatchamacallit, Gal, yes, caught close to back up. So with that in mind, and the fact that he clearly could have gone earlier, with had the energy to go, I think he could have won the stage by like 5-10 seconds, actually.
In the points classification, with Pogacar not winning the stage, Jonathan Milan actually increases his lead by going over the intermediate sprint point in first. Milan now leads by, 28 points on Tadej Pogacar. Milan on 251, Pogacar on 223. Mathieu Van Der Poel on 190 is still kind of in and around, but I don't think he really can win it. Maybe, actually, tomorrow is a big day for Van Der Poel. If he finds himself in the breakaway tomorrow, there's a good chance of a breakaway stage win there.
Oh, yeah.
And big points for the green jersey. So green jersey might be one to really keep an eye on tomorrow. You
think Milan's going to sneak into the breakaway tomorrow?
He certainly tried it today, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes again tomorrow to try and keep the lead, because I think he certainly sees Pogacar as the big threat.
Yeah, I agree.
But
what is the big threat in your fantasy team?
I've got do you know what? That is actually a good segue, because I've got a massive threat in my fantasy team.
Oh no!
And that's because Remco Evenepoel was my captain today.
Oh, do you get minus points? Is that a thing?
I mean, if only. 0 points for Remco on today's stage. Lipovitz gets me 174, a good stage from him, and I am fully vindicating putting him in my team. I'm very happy with my decision there. Not so happy with my decision to forget to change my captain. Jonas Vingegaard for 213, Lenny Martinez for 173. I was excited when I saw Johannesson in the break, because I thought it was Anders, but he got me one solitary point with Paripantra on 17 and Velasco on 10 for a total of 588, and I'm not happy with that performance.
I can tell, Anyways, I mean, it's okay. Once again, I'm losing points by not giving Pogacar the stage bonus, but I don't care. We got Vingegaard with 345, Pogacar just 271, and honorable mentions Lenny Martinez and Lipowitz as well, both around 173, ending with 976 points in a day.
That's a very, very good solid score.
I just don't know who to captain for tomorrow, because it won't be a GC one, I don't think. But who could go all the way in the breakaway? I don't know if any of my riders could do that. I mean, Fred Wright? Yeah.
He was in and around the early breakaways today, so
yeah. Or do I captain Castrillo and he goes in a break and he redemption arc for me? I don't know. I'm very torn between who to captain, or just buy someone new.
I've got that captain decision as well. I've gone for
Yeah.
Simone Velasco as my captain. I'm just kind of... I feel like I've got to go for the Tobias Harlan Johannesson all-in strategy.
Right.
Chance of failure, but chance that it totally pays off. I've got a bigger decision to make, though, because I've now got 25 stars to spend because Remco Evenepoel is out of this race. And I don't know who to spend it on. I feel
25.
like Manchester City,
Yeah.
apart from the fact that they have access to Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah.
Van Der Poel is screaming out my name.
I'm thinking the same thing, yeah.
If you're thinking the same thing, then I might make that decision.
Mm.
But I think I'll save that for the next podcast.
Oh, cliffhanger. I like it.
What would you rate today's stage out of 10 then? We mentioned that it was going to be anywhere between sort of a 5 and a 10 out of 10. It certainly wasn't a 10 for me.
No. Broco was... It was kind of exciting, but not like that exciting. The GZ battle was just... 6.5, maybe 7.
We'll go for a combined score of 6.5 then, because I'm going 6 for this stage.
Yeah.
Breakaway battle wasn't... But breakaway was the main source of entertainment, I think. The Gal attack spiced it up a bit, but the lack of cannibalism from Pogacar after what he was saying in interviews kind of underwhelmed me as a viewer.
Especially considering the stage, like the climbs we had, the names we had of the climbs. And just the result, no, it's just a letdown, honestly.
Yeah, the fact that this was the Queen stage of the Tour, and I guess it kind of... You can't really blame the race organisers, because I expected it. I'm sure they expected it to be closer between Pogacar and Jonas and the rest of the field, really, entering this particular stage. But yeah, in the end, a bit of a damp squib of a mountain stage.
Yeah. The question is, though, do you think tomorrow's stage can deliver anything good?
Give me all of the breakaway action in the world as a die-hard ultra of the breakaway. I am looking at this stage with... I cannot wait. 169.3 kilometres. Murray to Carcassonne. 3 climbs on the route, 2 category 3s and a category 2, but a descent towards the finish.
Oof.
It's so hard to call. It is a breakaway stage, but who will be in the moves?
I'm gonna mention him again. Kasper Askren. Gonna mention he was there like one stage where he did like an attack, but apart from that, we haven't really seen him at all. Which might mean that he's been saving up his energy for this specific stage, and then he attacks, descent, flies. He can do the solo thing. We all know that. Goes all the way.
Good call, I think. The 3 climbs in particular, 1.7 kilometres, 6.3%, but there's a savage little 11% consistent 400 metre bit on the first climb of the day. Then the second climb of the day is 6.3 kilometres at 5.7%, so much more gradual. But the Pas du Sang, category 2, 3.2 kilometres, 9.2% average.
Disgusting.
It's a pretty disgusting climb indeed, and it's going to be one for a hill rider, I think.
Yeah.
I did go Mohoric at the start of this, at the start of the tour. Mohoric has been really bad throughout this whole tour. But I don't know whether he's like tanking for this stage or whether he's actually just really, really not on form.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go for Nielsen Paulus instead, because he's been talking in interviews. He was interviewed before the start of today's stage, where he said, I don't think I'm going to go in the breakaway today. Maybe if a big group goes, I'll go. But I'm kind of looking at future stages, and I'm like, you've sold me. You've sold me the dream.
And tomorrow he just doesn't move.
Tomorrow doesn't move whatsoever. 4 riders in the breakaway. They get caught by the peloton.
It's a mass sprint.
Not even a mass sprint. They just roll it in.
It was like, who wants it? Who wants it? Yeah, just go. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm eagerly looking forward to this stage because it's finally another chance for the breakaway. What we've seen, I think, one of the most exciting stages so far of this tour was the Jonas Abrahamsson one, I think, personally, because it hung in the balance for so much. And I think that's what I enjoy most about a stage like this, is that somebody could go clear on the climb. You could have a group go clear, individuals go away. I don't think it goes to the best the rider with the best legs. It will go to the rider that tactically plays this one the best.
I think I'm gonna play the cards of Visma here, that they're looking for stage ones, and considering Wout Van Aert was barely seen much today's race, I didn't see much anyways. I think he dropped on the tumble there at some point. I'm gonna say that he's gonna go on a breakaway, and Visma's got some strat for him. Maybe even two guys in a breakaway at this point. Who knows? Before rest day, and Wout Van Aert ends up at the end and does a little sprint and wins.
That is a really good pick. I really like that. He's seemed to be stoking the motor up in previous stages of he wasn't as pretty poor as in the first week. He's there or thereabouts, so the legs are kind of there. Yeah. Especially with the Abrahamsson stage win where he came close with the Van Der Poel group. And I wonder whether he's stoking up the legs for this sort of a stage. Him and Victor Kampenaerts in the breakaway could be race over.
That would be dangerous. You would not want to be the one pulling in the peloton for that, that's for sure.
Yeah, another rough day for Nils Pollitt.
It's like...
another one.
Another one. All right.
Outro.
All right. So, hopefully you'll enjoy another podcast on the Really Good Podcast. Hopefully you'll enjoy this really good podcast today with a really not so great stage. Hopefully tomorrow's stage is going to be some more action with some breakaways and some unforeseen things happening. We'll find out tomorrow. If you enjoyed, like the video, subscribe. Give us 5 stars. All you know by now. Just do it all. And we'll see you all tomorrow with stage number 15.
15.
Bye.
You sounded confident.